The FTC estimates that roughly 9 million Americans become victims of identity theft every year. In 2024 alone, they logged over 1.1 million identity theft reports, and total fraud losses hit 12.7 billion. That's billion with a B. And that number was up 23% from the year before. So this is not a problem that's getting smaller. It is accelerating at an alarming rate, like a California driver who's out for blood on the way to work. Real example, and recent. But here's the thing that really gets me. Credit card fraud, the thing that a credit lock is supposed to prevent, accounted for about 449,000 of those complaints, which is a lot, but considering the fraud cases that aren't credit related, and you're at 651,000, you got one Vermont's worth of fraud. The majority of identity theft isn't even the kind that a credit freeze addresses. Social media account takeover is now the #1 threat, hitting over 35% of victims. Phishing through emails accounted for nearly 372,000 reports. There were over 3,300 data breaches in 2025, a 79% increase since 2020. Your social security number, your bank account details, your medical records, all of that is being exposed through breaches you didn't cause and can't control. A credit lock does not help with any of those. And the resolution process? If you think catching identity theft is the hard part, no. Wait until you try fixing it. The average victim spends around 330 hours resolving identity theft. Nearly half the victims who go to the Identity Theft Resource Center for help report that their case is still unresolved after a full year. Tax identity theft victims sometimes wait close to 2 years just to get their legitimate returns processed. And the emotional toll? 83% of victims reported feeling anxious or worried. Not sure why the other 17 were so confident, but here's another fact that I definitely just knew and didn't look up. 73% experienced physical symptoms like muscle tension or sleep problems. This is not an inconvenience, this is a life disruption. So that's why you pick up an identity protection service. It's not to say you will definitely become a victim of identity theft. One person can ride a bike for 50 years with no helmet and be just fine. Another person could ride a bike once with a helmet and still break their leg. Dummy. But that does not prove the helmet was a bad purchase. You buy a helmet because you cannot predict the future. Or at least, I can't. I've tried several times and now I don't go to the horse track as often. Here's what I can tell you though. You know who was a victim of identity theft? Me. $600 at Burlington Coat Factory, 2 credit cards later, and boom. Now I host a YouTube channel where I give digital security advice. In a roundabout way, I'd like to think of it as a financial win on my end. Hope you enjoy your coat, loser. The service I recommend is Aura. I want to be specific about why because my team and I have tested every major identity theft protection service over the last several years. First, when I signed up for Aura and ran their dark web scan, it found 45 instances of my personal data circulating on the dark web. I ran the same scan on LifeLock, same person, same account, and LifeLock found 4. That's not a controlled lab test, that's my actual information, and 41 of those exposures were invisible to one of the most recognized names in the industry. 45 versus 4. That's not a close call, that's one service doing the job and one service doing a very convincing impression of doing the job. Second, Aura monitors all 3 credit bureaus on every plan, not just the expensive one, every plan. LifeLock gates 3 bureau credit monitoring to their advanced tier at about $17 a month, or their total tier at about $29 a month. Their entry plan only covers 2 bureaus. Aura's individual plan runs about $12 a month, less through the link in the description, and you get all 3 bureaus, dark web monitoring, data broker removal from over 200 sites, a VPN, antivirus, and a password manager. Third, I called both services to test their customer support. Aura picked up in under 30 seconds, answered my questions, and at no point tried to sell me anything. When I called LifeLock, the rep answered my question and then pivoted to suggesting I upgrade to their higher tier plan, during what was supposed to be a support call. Fourth, and this is the one that reframes the whole cost conversation. Aura includes up to $1 million in identity theft insurance on every plan. Which brings me back to the number I mentioned at the top. $12 a month is $144 a year. Again, or less, The average identity theft victim spends 330 hours on resolution and potentially thousands of dollars in direct losses. And that's before you count the 2 credit cards, the fraud investigation, the sleepless nights, and whatever the person bought at Burlington Coat Factory. What if he went somewhere else? What if he went to Best Buy? What if he went to Best Buy? When you put it that way, it's not a here's your credit report subscription, it's the cheapest insurance policy you will ever buy. Now, is Aura's bundled VPN the best standalone VPN on the market? No. Is the antivirus best in class? Also, no. And I'm telling you that because I think honesty is worth more than a clean sales pitch. But having everything in one place under one subscription with one dashboard and one login, that matters more to most people than having the absolute best version of each individual tool spread across 5 different apps. If you're ready to check it out, the link in the description gets you a discount that isn't available on their main site. At minimum, run their free dark web scan. Takes about 30 seconds, no commitment, and you'll know immediately how much of your data is already out there. That number might surprise you. And honestly, that's kind of the point. Better to find out now on your terms than to find out the way I did. Staring at a credit card statement, wondering who spent $600 at Burlington Coat Factory. I swear, if it was my wife and I was on the phone for hours for no reason, I'm gonna be so mad.